From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
Tonight on News Hour, grain sellers absolve selves from rising maize price. Troops rescue 40 abductees in Zamfara. Traders want resumption of Kano Guru train service. And on the foreign scene, Kenyan demonstrators clash with police as three-day protest over tax hikes begins. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Now the news in detail. Local feed millers in Kaduna State say they are on the verge of shutting down their businesses following the continuous decline in patronage, as many poultry farmers are also shutting down farms due to the high cost of feed. The local feed millers are attributing their current predicament to the scarcity and cost of maize in the markets. Trust TV's Bello Musa, who visited the local feed producing area at railway station in Kaduna, reports that the place looks deserted with just a few still coping with the situation. The report.
This place, located at the popular railway station in the Kaduna metropolis, used to be a hub for feed producers. However, production is no longer booming here due to a cut in the supply of maize, which is the basic ingredient in the production line.
They cannot pay me without work. They can't pay me. You can see it. You can see it yourself.
It's more than a month we have not done anything. Even our boss is thinking of shutting down because of lack of work and lack of production. People are no longer coming to me feed like before.
As the situation continues without foreseeable solution, these local feed millers say they are now losing their source of livelihood.
Maybe anybody that passes me can give me something to do transport and go back to home. That's all. But I can't look here. I need to open it.
It's from what we have saved, that's where we are eating. Because we are not doing anything. The little you have on the ground, that's what you are feeding from.
Besides insecurity that hindered the production of maize, the millers are also citing epileptic power supply as another factor crippling local feed production in Nigeria.
And this insecurity, a lot of big farms that are in this Abuja road, that in this Abuja roadside, they have closed down. They are the major customers, not these small ones that are producing backyard business. But the major customers have closed down because of this insecurity and kidnapping.
And you will agree with me, the power sector in this country, especially the one that distributes energy to them here, they don't want to know whether they produce or they do not produce, because many of them are under estimation. They are not under prepaid. So whether they produce or not, they are still going to give them the charges. They are still going to. So this is affecting a whole lot of individuals as we speak now.
With many of them losing their jobs and hopes beginning to fade away, they say they have no option but to appeal for government's intervention to stop the imminent threat to their survival.
Majority in the area of maize, and they can help us finance our business to support us with the local feed production.
Of course, it's going to affect the entire industry, that if we are not aided as a matter of urgency, it could destroy the entire industry. And don't forget, the poultry industry make up over 10 to 20% of the entire agricultural industry.
They are hoping that normal production will bounce back in order to create more employment for the teeming youth in Kaduna State. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Travelers at the Jalingo Main Motor Park in Taraba State have decried the increase in transport fares following the recent increase in pump price of petrol. They made this known while interacting with Trust TV with some passengers, drivers and chairmen of the transport unions. Now the report.
A visit to the Jalingo Main Motor Park, which is the oldest park in the state capital, caters to thousands of people traveling to various destinations in and outside the state. But this time around, our camera lens cited low patronage of the travelers as well as the drivers. According to Felix Moses, a driver, the increase in the pump price of fuel has dealt the travel industry a heavy blow, as travelers have significantly reduced. He called on passengers to exercise patience until things get better.
We are facing it and the passengers are also facing it. To the extent now, it's very, very difficult for us to even have the passenger. People are not coming out more, they are not coming out again. There's no money. Somebody will pay a huge of money from here to Lagos. 25,000, it's not a small money.
Some travelers said both intra and intercity travel is gradually becoming out of their reach as they only travel when it becomes absolutely necessary. Matthias J. Taraya, who is traveling to Owerri in Imo State, said he paid 12,000 naira before the removal of fuel subsidy, adding that he now paid 15,000 naira for the same trip. Godwin Emmanuel is also a traveler who booked a seat to Port Harcourt, Rivers State, at the rate of 17,000 naira against 12,000 naira he paid 2 months ago.
I'm not happy at all about what happened for the fuel, because at least the government of Nigeria is supposed to look about their people, because they are suffering for the different types of things.
The money that I was even planning for it was 12,000, but I got to it that day. I had money go before this, so I also have to look for more money. Actually, it's not. I think maybe they should try and reduce the money because it's not everybody that can afford that money. It's not everyone. That's the truth.
The Secretary, NURTW Boss Branch, Amadou Abdullahi, said as a result of the removal of fuel subsidy, they spend more to purchase fuel for the same trips, adding that for them to stay in business, they have no choice but to increase fares.
We are going to increase to 12,000 because the movement is going less. It's not people are not moving as normal before. Sometimes before we are loading 5, 6, 7 vehicles, but now it will come down 1 or 2.
Mark Anthony, a senior supervisor, Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, NNPCL, stated that they have enough fuel on ground and are selling at the government-approved pump price.
The availability of the product, we have the products much available now. All our tanks, underground tanks, are filled up with the products, ready to dispense to our consumers, our customers. Right now, as in the area of ourselves, yeah, we are making headway. We are making headway because we have a good liter, and buyers now mostly they are after a good liter.
Both the drivers and the passengers appealed to the relevant bodies to address the situation in order to reduce the burden on the masses.
Nigerians in the nation's capital have continued to decry the recent increase in pump price of petrol, which was jacked from 537 naira per litre to over 600 naira. According to them, the increase will worsen the already precarious situation they find themselves in after the first increase that followed President Tinubu's presidential address on May 29th. Noel Sampson has the report.
Across the length and breadth of the FCT, residents are unhappy despite efforts by those in authority to justify the actions of the federal government. To them, what matters is that life is increasingly becoming more difficult with each passing day.
A lot of people already are hungry. They cannot afford basic meals with the old price. Now imagine how the old prices is now going to affect a whole lot of Nigerians. More people are going to become poorer. More middle class people are going to come down to become poor people, and it's just having a very bad effect on all of us. I have spent ×3 on my normal transportation budget in the last 1 month.
Sure, the thing is really painful and we don't know what to do. I think the government should also look at it and know what to do for the masses, so we can also, like the palliative of a thing, and also provide a bus for passengers and other things. So the workers are not going out anymore. People are losing their job.
Me,
I dey feel say Baba wan recover maybe small from the campaign wey he don do. He wan recover him money. Na so me I dey feel. Because normal they say the thing na 5 something. They say after 1 month the thing go come down. They wan comot a subsidy. Only for them to carry the thing has now shoot to 620 naira. And from the look of things, it seems that it's going to go to 1,000 safe.
But the National Retention Agency, NOA, at an engagement with the media, says the increase in the price of fuel is part of the new realities in the petroleum industry ecosystem under deregulation. Director General of the agency, Garba Abari, explained that under deregulation, prices will go up and come down depending on the market forces.
The recent price hike in the price per litre of petrol is being seen by the public as another increase in the price of petrol by the government. This is a wrong impression, and the public needs to be educated on this. What is actually happening is the new reality in the petroleum industry ecosystem under the regulation. Prices will go up and down depending on market forces. This is the reality under the regulation, and the people need to be aware.
Meanwhile, the Nigeria Labour Congress has released a press statement condemning the recent fuel price hike. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The House of Representatives has resolved to summon the Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, to explain the incessant increases in the price of premium motor spirit in Nigeria. The resolution followed the adoption of a motion on matters of urgent public importance by Ikenga Ugo Chinyere at plenary on Wednesday. Presenting the motion, he noted that the increase in the price of PMS or petrol has led to the increase in food commodities as well as prices of services across the country. Some members who contributed to the debate on the motion suggested the suspension of the recent pump price. However, other members said the price increase was propelled by market forces as stated by the NNPCL MD. The Deputy Speaker, Benjamin Kalu, who presided over plenary, agreed that the House has no power to fix or suspend the pump price of PMS. The House adopted the motion and referred to the House Committee on Petroleum Resources when constituted to look into the circumstances leading to the increment and how best to apply palliatives to alleviate the sufferings of the Nigerian people. Well, we now have in the studio Awal Musa Rafsanjani, Executive Director of Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening.
All right, so now talking about the increased pump price. Now, what do you feel about the recent hike in fuel price and the hardship that has been experienced by Nigerians?
I think it's very clear that Nigerians are facing multiple challenges of difficulties in life in Nigeria as a result of bad governance we have experienced or we've been going through in the last decade in this country. And therefore, the Tinubu administration, is not different from the previous administration. As economy blueprint of the government is not even known, is not interrogated, is not made public for them to make even input into it, so that there will be suggestion on how to mitigate the economic, difficulties and challenges that are facing Nigerians. Secondly, Nigerians are looking forward to see concrete plan on how to revamp our refineries, rather than this fraudulent, importation of petroleum, products in the country. If you make our refineries to work, you would have done a lot of great, incredible effort toward reviving the economy and making life easy for Nigerians. But because the intention of those who are governing us now is not to provide any relief or any welfare to the citizens, but rather take advantage of their disposition to come up with policy and programs that are inimical to the well-being of the people. And this is the reason why we condemn in totality this increase that has happened, because for the first time in the country, we've never seen this huge increase in the petroleum products in the country. You've done that, you have not spent up to 2 months, you've now increased again, taking the country, taking the people for a ride. You have not improved their means of livelihood, you have not improved their means of, even the job that they can do to earn a living. You have not even provided it, you have not created conditions for them to be able to access such kind of opportunity to make use of it and be able to feed themselves. But rather you are coming up with multiple, challenges, taxation, and all sort of things. Now the inflation has gone up. What you are doing now, you are just rendering people to become more jobless, and then you are creating opportunity for those who are misguided to be criminals in the society, because they cannot get job, they cannot get legitimate income. So the only thing you are doing now, you are creating opportunity for those people to be involved in criminal activities. And that is a very dangerous scenario that government is doing. So we have been advocating and advising government to come up with something concrete. This palliative of sharing money is not a solution. You cannot come and be doing campaign, because it's like they are still in the campaign, period where they were sharing, Maggi and Gary and what have you.
Okay, but just before you actually go ahead, you talked about, advising the government. Well, a lot of people seem to think that, there's a deafening silence, from the civil society organizations and also the labor unions as well.
Well, I think for those who cares to know and follow what civil society are doing, they will see that civil society has been at the forefront of agitating, for policy reforms that can help improve the economy and the well-being of Nigerians. It was the voice of civil society that forced government to, reverse this, distribution of 8,000 naira to family of 5. Family of 5 in the context of the Nigerian present situation cannot feed or cannot, help any family of 5 with 8,000 naira per month, and you say you're going to do it for 6 months. So it's not sustainable, it's not durable, it's not meant to address or to cure the poverty or mitigate the suffering that Nigerians have found themselves.
So what do you recommend?
Even the recommendation we have made is that, first and foremost, block the leakages. A lot of people who have collected money in the name of subsidy payment, many of them were fraud, many of them were fraudulent payment. You need to make them to come back, to bring back those money. Secondly, you need to block the spending, reckless spending that is going on. We expect that the government of Tinubu, for increasing all this, we expect that they should reduce unnecessary spending in governance. But we have seen how both the legislature and the executive have increased in their spending, and then the poor people have no any plan. They have no any plan for them. So government must reduce the cost of governance. Government must eliminate, dubious payments at all levels. Government must block leakages. Government must ensure that our industries are working, our refineries is working. If all these are put in place, I can assure you that the pressure would have gone down, and Nigeria, will be able to have more income that we do not need to have our, Naira totally devaluated the way it is today. So the economic blueprint of Tinubu administration is not known to Nigerians, and that is why this, confusion is coming. And, he has not yet put economic management team that can help drive the policy framework of the economy of the government.
Okay. Well, I think that will be all for now. Thank you so much, Mr. Rafsanjani, for joining us on News Hour this evening. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that was Awal Musa Rafsanjani. He is the Executive Director of Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC. Now moving on to security, troops of Operation Hadarin Daji have rescued 40 hostages at Euri, Kiaram and Alkama villages in Bukuyum local government area of Zamfara State, northwest Nigeria. The feat was recorded on 17th of July 2023 following an intelligence report that suspected terrorists had kidnapped unspecified numbers of persons from those villages around Bukuyum local government area of Zamfara State. Troops immediately mobilized for fighting patrol and established blocking positions around the terrorist withdrawal routes at Keuru, Keram, and Alkama villages. Troops, however, made contact with heavy firefight, which lasted for hours, forcing the terrorists to flee and abandon their victims. The rescued kidnapped victims, numbering 40, dispersed and have since reunited with their families, while 10 of the victims were handed over to the Serikin Gwashi to connect them with their respective families. Combined troops of 63 Brigade of the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Police and operatives of the Department of State Services have neutralized 2 IPOB ESN fighters and arrested 5 others after a fierce encounter at Fuji Junction General Area in Asaba, Delta State. In a statement on Tuesday, Director Army Public Relations Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu said the encounter that took place on Monday, 17 July 2023 followed distress calls that the community was under attack by the terrorists. According to him, the combined troops swiftly responded to the call and the terrorists succumbed to the overwhelming firepower of the troops. 2 members of the proscribed group fell in the firefight that ensued, while the survivors fled to their hideout around Okpanam River. The troops successfully trailed them to their enclave in a house around Okpanam River where they were nabbed. They also recovered 1 AK-47 rifle, 1 pump-action semi-automatic rifle, 15 live cartridges, 1 AK-47 rifle magazine, and a Baofeng radio receiver. Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu implored members of the public to continue to cooperate with security agencies by providing actionable information to support their operations to tackle security challenges. Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Saleh on Wednesday held a closed-door meeting with the Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Christopher Musa, over the influx of bandits and other criminals from Plateau State. Speaking to journalists at the Defense Headquarters Abuja shortly after the closed-door meeting, Saleh said he deemed it fit to visit the military chief in order to be proactive before anything untoward happens in the state. According to him, apart from coming to congratulate the Major General on his appointment as Defense Chief, the action became imperative because of the state's proximity to the seat of power and the nation's capital, Abuja. Reacting, the CDS told newsmen that as part of being proactive, they've already mapped out strategies to tame any unwanted development in the state due to its closeness to the FCT. Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwoola, has denied rumors that he had a telephone conversation with President Bola Tinubu and the Director General of Department of State Services, Yusuf Bichi, over the pending post-election petitions before the Presidential Election Petitions Court. Ariwoola said the judiciary has no plans to favor any of the petitioners and the respondents in the petitions pending before the court, especially Tinubu, the People's Democratic Party, the People's Democratic Party's Atiku Abubakar, and the Labour Party's Peter Obi. In a statement by the Director of Information of the Supreme Court, Dr. Festus Akonde, on Wednesday, the CJN said there is no iota of truth in the narrative going around social media. The CJN pleaded with Nigerians to cooperate with the judiciary to serve the country to its full capacity. Justice Ayola, who acknowledged the Nigerians have been following the proceedings at the Presidential Elections Tribunal, advised them to follow it up to the end instead of relapsing into the realm of speculations and rumor peddling. The statement said members of the public should be rest assured that justice will be done to all matters pending in the various courts across the country, irrespective of who is involved. Muslim faithfuls in Kwara State commemorates the new Islamic year 1445 after Hijrah with calls on those in position of authority to address the difficult economic situation in the country. Grand Qadi of Kwara State Sharia Court of Appeal, Justice Abdulatif Kamaldin, told faithfuls that with patience and perseverance, the trying period will be over. The report. We apologize for not being able to bring that report to you. Now, similarly, President Bola Tinubu is imploring Muslims and Nigerians generally to imbibe the important values of patience, perseverance, and faithfulness, which were part of reasons why Prophet Muhammad migrated from Mecca to Medina 1,445 years ago. The president, in a personal statement to Muslims in Nigeria and around the world, prayed that the incoming year 1445 would usher in a more peaceful and prosperous period. President Tinubu, in the same vein, appealed to Nigerians to persevere and struggle to confront the present challenges and the temporary pain being presently experienced. He, however, encouraged them to remain hopeful as there was light and prosperity at the end of the tunnel, stressing that his team is leaving no stone unturned to deliver on the promises he made in spite of present difficulties. As Muslims witness the end of another Hijrah lunar calendar and usher in the new Islamic year, the president is urging them all to engage in prayers and supplications to God Almighty. Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal has felicitated Muslims on the commemoration of the Islamic New Year 1445. The governor, who wished Muslims in the state, Nigeria, and across the world a new year filled with blessings of Allah, urged continuous prayers for peace and prosperity of the state. A statement on Wednesday by the spokesperson to the governor, Suleiman Idris, said the governor tasked Muslims across the state to be steadfast in prayers. He said the migration marks the beginning of the Islamic calendar known as the Hijrah, which also symbolizes Islam's system of brotherhood and equality. Governor Lawal used the opportunity to appeal to the good people of Zamfara State to unite against all forces hindering the peace and progress of the state. All right, so right now we actually have Imam Fuad Adeyemi. He's the chief imam of Al-Habibiyah Mosque here in Abuja. He joins us to discuss the significance of Hijrah. Good evening, Imam. Thank you so much for joining us on News Hour.
Good evening. Thank you so much, ma'am.
All right. So can you tell us what is the significance of the Hijrah calendar? Because some are calling for a special holiday to observe the new year. And do you think this should be encouraged?
The entire Muslim Ummah of the world a happy new Islamic calendar, happy new year. Well, to us in Islam, everything we do has a record and has a reason why we do it from the backing of the Quran and Hadith, the practice of our noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hijrah is actually movement of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from Mecca to Medina in 632 AD. If you look at the condition at which the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam left Mecca for Medina, it is something that we as human beings today will need to study and reflect on. It is also the celebration of a new year for us as the Muslim, because Quran tells us in chapter 9 of the glorious Quran that in the holy Quran, in the counting of years before Almighty Allah, Allah said there are 12 calendar months. Over these, 4 of them are sacred. So it means the Hijrah, that is a movement from Mecca to Medina of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from a very intense condition, shows one thing, that he's leaving his place of comfort to a place of assumptive discomfort. That is one. Then 2, he left a place where it is not convenient for him and comfortable for him to worship God the way it should be, to a place where it is more comfortable. It means all these things, they are symbolic of so many things in our life. One, it teaches us, it allows us to be conscious of Almighty Allah, because if you are conscious of the Islamic calendar, so many things will be in your mind. One, you will know that in Islam, there is fasting of Monday and Tuesday. There is fasting of the Ayamul Bid, that is 13, 14, 15 of Islamic calendar. There is Nisfu Shaban. There is so many other calculations you will be able to use to have a kind of direct communion with your God. So when you are conscious of this, it means you are conscious of your duty as a Muslim, as somebody who has a creator above him. It allows you to be conscious of all this. And you also ask a question that some people are asking for holidays for this. Yeah. It is actually necessary, because when you have a time to remind yourself of the essence of a particular time, even if when you are forgetting, by the time another one comes, you will also remind yourself. It means if we have an holiday, if you also notice that the Muslims, if you calculate the kind of holidays we have in this country, we do not have enough time to practice, to be able to introduce our religion to our children, to the upcoming one. There is an adage, an African adage, that the Muslims, they start training their children from infancy. Today, how many Muslims goes to mosque with their children following them? How many Muslims has the opportunity of introducing them to the culture of our religion, so that at the end of the day, it will be imbibed in them? So if we have an holiday, it allows us to discuss this thing together and move together.
All right, Imam, now the important lesson from Hijrah is migration from evil deeds to righteous deeds. Now, what should faithfuls actually be doing when confronted by sinful acts?
Well, first and foremost, you should be conscious of Almighty God. You should be able to control yourself as a Muslim, because you should know that a day will be a day that you will be before your God, that will be able to answer all what you do. And that is the essence of the Hijrah. Hijrah here also means that you go away. There can be also like 2-3 segments of Hijrah. It can be the Hijrah of Makan, that you leave one place that is not convenient for you to another place. It can also be Hijrah of Amal. That is, some behaviors that are not good, you abandon them for those that are good. And now that the Hijrah is here, it allows us to see that what the Prophet ﷺ did, the way he has practicalized things for us, is something that should be registered in our brain, that you should be asking yourself, this thing that I want to do, what is the stand of Allah on it? How did the prophets did it? The moment you are able to answer that question from your heart, you will be doing things correctly, because Allah has told us, وَلَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ, that in the life of the Prophet ﷺ, there is a good example for us.
All right, thank you so much, Imam. We really, really appreciate you for your time. Thank you. That was Imam Fuad Adeyemi, the Chief Imam of Al-Habibiyah Mosque here in Abuja, joining us to discuss the importance of Hijrah, or the significance of Hijrah. You're watching Trust News Hour. Coming up after the break. Traders want resumption of Kano Guru train service. Do stay with us.
If you are just joining us, this is the news update on Trust TV. Now a recap of our top stories.
For me, I have my 8 years and I think I have enough.
A challenge to serve in line with the oath I have taken today.
Commander of the Board of Directors of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation and
an end to poverty.
Bauchi State residents are appealing to stakeholders in the oil sector to consider the plight of
killing in Maraban Jama'a Okaru in Plateau State.
I'm confident that I have what it takes to turn Nigeria around.
Of FCT residents on the need to give Gen Z a proper orientation.
When a country organizes a credible election, both the government and the opposition will work.
20 Zenith Bank customers that will win 150,000 naira every 2 weeks from June 1st, 2023 until May 31st, 2024 in the Zenith Better Life Promo 3. To qualify, simply open a Zenith Bank account. For more information, visit www.zenithbank.com/betterlife. Live the better life with Zenith Bank.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us on News Hour. Here's a recap of some of our top stories. We told you that grain sellers absolve selves from rising maize price. You also heard that troops rescue 40 abductees in Zamfara. Moving to other stories, the suspended governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has asked the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos to admit him to bail on self-recognizance pending the hearing and determination of the charge filed against him by the federal government. The bail application, which was filed by his lead counsel, Joseph Daudu, SAN, was brought pursuant to the relevant provisions of the Constitution, the Administration of Criminal Justice Act of 2015, and the inherent powers of the court. It was not yet certain when Emefiele would be arraigned on the 2 counts of illegal possession of a firearm and ammunition, but there are indications that it would be sometime during the annual vacation of the court, which commences on Monday, July 24, 2023. The suspended CBN governor's case has been assigned to Justice Nicholas Owebo, who is one of the 2 vacation judges for the court. The other is Justice Akintayo Aluko. Referring to his reputation, past credible record, as well as his status as former CBN governor, the defendant said he is not a flight risk and will not jump bail if it is granted. The suspended CBN governor also said that granting him bail would afford him adequate time and facilities to prepare his defense to the charge. The federal government in the charge sheet accused the suspended CBN governor of possessing a single-barrel shotgun, a Joseph Magnum 8371 without a license, charges this ex-CBN governor denies. The Nigerian Senate on Tuesday resolved to investigate allegations of abuse of firearms by some customs officers at various land borders across the country. The resolution followed a motion of urgent national importance by Senator Abdulaziz Musa Yar'Adua, representing Katsina Central, on the alleged killings of innocent citizens by operatives of the Nigerian Customs Service. Trust TV's Shafi'u Suleiman has the report.
The lawmakers, after more than 1 hour extensive and robust debate, condemned the allegations of extrajudicial killings of innocent citizens perceived to be smugglers of rice, especially in border towns of Katsina State, amongst others. Senator Abdulaziz Musa Yar'Adua, who moved the motion, listed incidences where the customs operatives shot and killed several innocent persons in the name of combating rice smuggling.
On 13 July 2023, the Chief of Staff to the Katsina State Governor, Alhaji Jabir Sawi, had a narrow escape from a harrowing assault from Nigerian Customs Service officials. Worried that officers of the Nigerian Customs Service at a location near Gora and Emma Highway shot indiscriminately at the vehicle conveying the Chief of Staff to the Governor with other aides and close family members. He just managed to escape with his life.
The senators in support of the motion highlighted the experiences of their constituents, either in the hands of reckless custom operatives or other security agencies, leading to the setup of a committee to thoroughly investigate the matter and report within 6 weeks.
I believe that whoever is given a bullet, just one bullet, whether it is customs or police or any armed forces or security agencies, must account for that bullet.
If this Senate
rises up after our investigation to recommend punishments for these erring officers if they are found not guilty. It will send a signal to other people who carry arms and feel that they can go do anything and get away with it. It's important to members of the National Assembly, particularly to understand the scope. It is a Madam corridor. I don't know whether there is a direct order by the establishment that whoever carries anything illegal should be shot. But that has been the order of the day, Mr. President. Mr. President, in my senatorial district, every month, one person must lose his or her life to the Nigerian consulate. Every month, once a month. Once a month. And what is the reasons? The reasons are the bag of rice, they have come to pick some maybe flour or whatever. Sir, that we have border in our senatorial, it's not our making.
The Upper Legislative Chamber also deliberated on other motions on discrimination of employment opportunities based on age by Senator Abba Moro, and a motion on the collapse of road projects in Nigeria, sponsored by all senators except the Senate President, amongst other legislative functions. Unlike the lower legislative chamber, the Senate was silent on the recent petrol price hike and the much-awaited ministerial list of President Bola Tinubu, just as it adjourned plenary till Thursday. Shapir Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Troops of Operation Safe Haven, maintaining peace in Mangu local government area of Plateau State, have arrested over 1,000 cattle and sheep grazing on farmlands in the area. In a statement signed by the Media and Information Officer of the operation, Captain Oya James, the cattle were arrested in Damunan village of Boy district of Mangu in the ongoing efforts to address the security challenges confronting the area in recent times. More than 200 people were confirmed killed in the crisis between Magaville and Fulani communities in the last 3 months. Security personnel have vowed to restore peace in the area. The military spokesperson said preliminary investigation revealed that the cattle and sheep came from Bokos and Barikin Ladi local government areas, and they were being detained for further action. The general officer commanding 3rd Division, and Commander Operation Safe Haven, Major General A.E. Abubakar, had promised to tackle the root cause of the crisis and block anything that could lead to renewed attacks in Mangu general area. Moving on to health. Animal rearers in Jos, the Plateau State capital, are worried over the recent discovery of anthrax disease case in Niger State, saying the development should be given the seriousness it deserves. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development had on Monday announced the discovery of a case of the disease in Niger State, a development that has sent shivers down the spine of animal rearers in the state. Ado Musa completes the report.
On July 14 this year, the Office of the Chief Veterinary Officer of Nigeria was notified of animals manifesting symptoms of suspected case of anthrax in a farm in Suleja, Niger State. The case was in a multi-species animal farm comprising cattle, sheep and goats located at Gajiri along Abuja-Kaduna Expressway in Suleja local government area of Niger State, where some of the animals had symptoms including oozing of blood from their body openings, such as anus, nose, eyes, and ears. With the confirmation of the case, however, some animal rearers in Jos who are aware of the disease say the discovery of the case is a source of concern.
I'm very worried because I used to buy and sell, and I'm also a rearer. I sleep with animals, so I have a problem and I have a complaint, especially to the federal government.
And the main problem of this disease is to come out through the grass, whereby animals used to go for eating and they will get this type of disease. And we human beings, when we are dealing with this kind of animals, the This type of animals that we are having, that's the domestic animals. When we are staying with them, I think you understand. They must to get this kind of sickness, that's the anthrax.
When we heard about the discovery of a case of the disease in Niger State, we were worried. We are begging the government to tackle the problem before it spreads to other places. While appreciating government for rising to the occasion, the animal rearers, however, call for the provision of preventive measures to enable them better handle the situation.
So we are calling of the government, that's why we are calling of the government to please come to our aid, to enlighten people about this disease so that we will know how to take care of it.
Our rulers, that's the government of Plateau State and the Republic of Nigeria, to give us support. When they give us support from the veterinary officers to give us some drugs whereby we can give to our animals in order to provide this disease.
We pray that this disease will not spread to other states. We are calling on the federal government to do more to tackle the spread of the disease. Mustafa Abdulaziz, a veterinary doctor, further explains what anthrax is and its symptoms.
So anthrax is all we know is a bacteria. It's a bacteria infection that affects warm-blooded animals such as the cattle, the sheep, and the goat. It's a very deadly and fatal disease that affects both humans and the animal.
The veterinarian also explains the preventive measures.
How can it affect human beings? It's through physical contact with the dead animal and inhalation of the bacteria, which is Bacillus anthracis. If you can inhale it. So the preventive measures is we are taking so that annual vaccination. That's the major prevention of this bacteria infection, which is anthrax.
With the quick action by the federal government to nip the spread of the disease in the bud, stakeholders, especially animal rearers, are hopeful that more could be done to arrest the disease in the country. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Traders in Nguru local government area of Yobe State are asking the federal government to restore Kano to Nguru train services. The Kano Nguru train service has facilitated movement of mostly agricultural commodity and other goods from the commercial city to Nguru town in the northeast. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin reports that the train services has stopped for over a year now.
For over 1 year now, this place, which used to be a hub of loading and uploading goods from Nguru in Yobe State to the Nigeria's commercial city of Kano, has now stopped operation.
I believe the reason why the train stopped coming is because we don't have people who will put pressure on the authorities. Because coming of the train is a relief to the poor man. Whenever it stops, a lot of businesses also stops.
Traders say despite efforts to get the authorities restore the train services was not successful.
Some say that as a result of the operational challenges against that trend, that restrained the train from the coming from the Kano to this present town. And the most of our own journey, like we have the lots of the masses over there in this present town. But what they needed now, they needed the assistance of the government to come into their aid as a result of the provision of that train for them now here. But we failed to get.
According to residents in Nguru town, over the years, the Nguru Kano train transportation has remained a major means of transporting goods to Kano for onward distribution to other parts of the country. Unfortunately, most of the facilities here were alleged to have been stolen.
Before now, when you enter this place, you will know that it's a train station. But now they have stolen everything. Today they will bring a new station manager. The next thing he will start selling the train parts in our very eyes.
High cost of diesel and logistical problems are some of the few but major challenges believed to have been threatening the continued operation of Nguru to Kano train services. although all attempts to speak with the station manager was not successful. However, Chairman of Guru Loku Government Madu Kachalla say they are presently in touch with the officials of the Nigeria Railway Corporation to see how the situation could be resolved.
We visited the railway officials 3 times to see how they can repair where was said to have been damaged, and they promised to come. We in fact trying to see how to modernize the railway so that it can even pass from here to Gashua down to Damaturu.
Meanwhile, from both sides, traders are hopeful that the federal government will intensify efforts to restore its operation for the overall development of the nation's economy. Idris Jubrin, Trust TV News, Yobe.
Governor Kefas Agbu of Taraba State has sworn in 21 commissioners earlier confirmed by the Taraba State House of Assembly. In line with his aspiration to meet 30% affirmative action, the list is made up of 6 females and 15 males, the first in the history of the state. The swearing-in was performed by the State Chief Judge, Justice Joel Philibus Agya, at the Gym Hall, Jole Nyame Stadium, Jalingo. Governor Abu Kefas congratulated the new commissioners and urged them to collaborate with one another to provide a vibrant administration. He maintained that their appointments were not merely symbolic but a call to duty, entrusted with the responsibility of uplifting the standard of living of the people. A chairman, House Committee on Information, Honorable Nelson Len, who addressed the press after the session, said that all the nominees sent to the House by the State Governor Abu were screened and cleared. Now moving to business, the Central Bank of Nigeria has announced the withdrawal of operating licenses from 2,698 Bureau de Change operators. The Apex Bank simultaneously released a list of approved dealers, reducing the total number of approved BDC dealers to 2,991. The CBN's publication titled Approved BDCs revealed the withdrawal of licenses from the aforementioned 2,698 BDCs. The action follows a similar move in 2022 when the CBN published a document listing 5,689 licenses Bureau de Change as of December 31st, 2021. During the tenure of Bola Tinubu, the Policy Advisory Council reports National Economy Subcommittee recommended by key reforms, including raising the capitalization requirements for BDC operators. Another suggestion put forth by the council was to allow Nigerian banks to function as primary dealers in supplying the forex market. On the international scene, about 100 protesters hurled rocks at police in Kibera neighborhood of Nairobi on Wednesday morning as 3 days of demonstrations against the cost of living and tax hikes kicked off in Kenya. Protesters burned tires in Kibera and were met with volleys of tear gas by police. Kibera, a stronghold for veteran opposition leader Raila Odinga, who represented the community in parliament from 1993 to 2003, has often been a flashpoint for standoffs with security forces. 2 rounds of protests earlier this month descended into violence when police fired tear gas and, in some cases, live rounds at the crowd. At least 15 people were killed and hundreds were arrested. Kenya's opposition called for the protest in part because of tax hikes passed last month by the government of President William Ruto, who was elected last August, pledging to champion the interest of the poor, but has seen the price of basic commodities balloon under his administration. The Algerian Civil Protection Service says 34 people were killed and 12 injured when a bus and pickup truck collided on a highway in southern Algeria on Wednesday, prompting a huge fire. The collision, which occurred around 4 a.m. in Tamraset, province in the Sahara Desert resulted in both vehicles being engulfed in flames. All passengers were caught in the blaze. Authorities say the cause of the crash was being investigated. Images posted online showed emergency workers, carrying victims in body bags, and the charred remains of the bus and truck, which were entangled with each other. The driver's side of the truck was crushed by the impact. The collision came about 2 weeks after another bus accident left 8 people dead and 17 injured in Bordeaux Arich in northern Algeria. And finally, in sports, the Athletics Integrity Unit has taken the decision to provisionally suspend Nigerian track and field athlete Tobi Amusan for 3 missed whereabouts failures. The suspension was announced after it was discovered that Amusan had missed 3 drug tests within a 12-month period. This charge could result in a 2-year suspension even if an athlete has never failed a drug test. In a statement on Twitter, the AIU said the charge will be heard by the disciplinary tribunal and determined before the World Athletics Championships. In reaction to the charge, Amusan vowed to resolve the charges against her before this year's competition, which will be placed in Budapest next month. And with that, we've come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Thanks for watching.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.